Hello, my name is Randy Ripke. I'm the developer of TASbillerCloud. The following video will help explain features of the program. If you have any questions, please feel free to email or call. I hope you enjoy your use of TASbillerCloud. Hello, this is Randy Ripke. I'm the developer of TASbillerCloud, and this is Templates Part 3. And no, I didn't think there'd be 3 parts, and yes, there probably will be a Part 4 and 5. The templates we're going to speak of today, there's just a few changes in the overall templates, but we're going to be addressing mostly the use of templates for listing pager or secure license apps on your invoice templates. I'll have a separate video regarding pagers and apps, which is a new feature in TASbillerCloud. This video will be covering some changes that we made to the template editor and some considerations to think about with regard to your templates. So as you can see, the template editor is a little bit changed. The blocks of the template being, in this case, the first page header and the page header. And as we scroll down, you can see now all the controls and lists are along the left, and then the template itself is on the right portion here. So it's a little different layout and a little bit easier to manage, I think. And you can scroll down and see the entire layout, and along the left are all the different sections of the invoice that you can change. And let me point out a couple things. This is a new template I'll get into in just a moment. Let's go back into one of the older ones, and just for example, something I did early on was, if you notice in the tables, this one column on the far left here was a 25 pixel kind of a buffer. It was meant as a margin just to kind of push things over, because during the original design of the cloud, we did not have margin controls for the templates. Since we have margin controls now, what I did on the new templates was to remove that column. So so you see here where all of my graphics and text start immediately in that first column. So what you could do is go through, which is what I did. Let me show you, for example, here. We're going back to the original. On each of the blocks, you'll have to choose this column and then delete the column. And see, it'll go away. And then choose it for each table that's on your template. And there will be several going through here. So this is something you want to do with a copy, not the original. I'm just going to cancel this so we don't save any changes. Take your time doing this. This is not a project to do on billing day. This is something to, when you feel the urge to tweak your template a little bit, that would be a nice project to do, is to remove those cells along the left. And then I increased my left margin to a 12 millimeter, and that seems to center things nicely. So for example, let's look at account 4001, and you can see with this new layout, I've got a pretty nice even left margin and right margin, and the pagination looks good, and the footer space looks nice, and all that stuff. So it's coming out pretty neat. The other advantage of getting rid of that left-hand column is, last month we introduced the analysis features for the templates, and now you can use the when you edit the template table, you can go to table properties and draw borders now around the entire table without having to worry about not including that buffer column. So it makes some of the manipulations a little bit easier. And you can also see where I've been doing some shading and coloring, and I think it's coming out pretty nice. And this is a lot easier to do, again, without having that first column kind of in your way. Let's look at what the new sections are now. So first of all, you're going to see what you've seen before is the page header and the first page header. Then you'll see your item header and fixed charges, quantity and percentage, and taxes. And you'll have some new items here for asset app header. So this is basically the pager and apps section of the template. So this is for a pager or app that is listed on the main account. You'll also find the same section for the sub accounts. So whatever you do for the main account, you'll also want to duplicate this for the sub. And it's just a matter of copying and pasting. So you want to start out with a header, and the fields available are listed here. So you can start out with, generally you're going to list either the cap code or the phone number of the secure message license, or the pager number if you're listing pagers, and then the user's name. And then for the detail section, you'll notice that the fixed charges are the same as the fixed charges for the regular sections of the invoice template. So for the asset app fixed charges, you're simply listing the description, which is the posting account, and then the amount of the charge. Same thing for taxes. So these are very easy to set up. Again, I would use a nice, maybe a bold or a font on these. I would do some testing, obviously, and make sure it looks nice on the finished product. For sub accounts, something new that we had to do is create a sub account header. Now, before we had the item header, which contained the sub account number and the sub account name. We moved all of that for you from the item header into the sub header, so you'd still have it at the beginning, but because there are some options here, you may have a sub account that's a transfer to master, so there are no transactions, there are no billable quantities, but you may have pagers assigned to it, or you may have sub-account detail on invoice where you want to show, like in this case, I have operator time, inbound calls, and messages. So you'd need the account number and name as the header, but you may not have any charge items to display. So we separated the header into a separate template block so that it can still begin the labeling process on the invoice and then follow that with the charges. Now notice I'm also doing some shading here. And let me show you what this looks like when we, I'll bring up an account that has some sub-accounts. So notice how this shading is kind of breaking apart and separating one sub-account. So it's grouping everything together, and it makes it a little bit easier to visualize the next sub-account and its charges. And as we scroll down, here's the next sub-account with its charges and summary and so forth. So it makes for a pretty nice presentation. It also puts a little more color into the invoice, having the shading. I think it's a nice look. Again, something to play with and test. Something else I did was in the footer section, I tried to make the footer a little bit smaller. And again, I used the framing around the account summary area to make it stand out nicer. I used the shading for the heading, and I've included on here some new fields that we have now for date of last payment and the amount of last payment. If you'd like me to copy some of these for you and set them up, just let me know, and I'll get these templates copied to your template area so you can try them as well. Well, that's all I have for now on templates. Just be aware of the new layout, and if you're going to be charging for and want to list pagers or secure message licenses on your invoice, you'll need to set up these sections, these template blocks for your fixed charges and your header fields. And as always, any questions, let me know. There'll be a separate video for pagers and apps and how to assign those and add them to the accounts in a separate video. So thank you very much.